As someone obsessed with hair, my algorithm came across something, honestly, pretty expected. Photos of Victorian women. And I noticed something. Their beautiful, long, strong, shiny hair. The kind that feels unusual to see today. The kind you can only get from expensive hair products, according to brands. So how did they achieve it without these products? Even young girls had hair touching the floor. Made me think, what did they know that we don't? And yes, long hair was fashionable. Long, healthy hair was a sign of beauty, status, especially among royalty and upper classes. Today, fashion has changed. You see all kinds of lengths and styles, but there's still a huge chunk of the population, maybe you're one of them, who genuinely wants long, healthy hair. Maybe not to the floor, like some Victorians, but to the waist, like I wanted. So here's my take. If something worked for centuries across different cultures, maybe it's not old-fashioned. Maybe it's just proven. Now look, I'm not here to say old is gold or romanticize the past. And I'm definitely not here to fearmonger about modern products. We have good stuff now too. We're just going to go through Victorian hair care. What they were doing to get that hair. What practices we can actually adopt today. And what simply wouldn't be realistic for modern life. One of the most shocking things I found? Victorian women washed their hair rarely. Like once a month or even less, which feels wild today, especially when so many people prefer washing daily or feel like they have to. Now, part of that was practical. They didn't have running water. Hauling and heating water for a bath was actual labor. So washing less wasn't really a choice. It was necessity for a lot of people. But it wasn't just necessity. They genuinely considered infrequent washing good for hair. Elite women with maids and running water, they also washed infrequently because it was considered the right thing to do for healthy hair. But does that mean you should also wash your hair once a month? Absolutely not. Let's be real, that's not practical for today. We sweat at the gym, commute in pollution, actually move through life. Washing once a month would leave most of us miserable and greasy. It depends on your hair. If you have an oily scalp, you might need to wash every 2 to 3 days. Dry hair? Once a week could be plenty. The question to ask yourself is simple. Could you stretch just one more day between washes? Now, here's the thing. If you're used to washing every day, you can't just jump to once a week overnight. Your scalp will freak out. You'll feel greasy and miserable by day 2. You have to do it gradually. Start by adding just one extra day. If you wash every day, try going every other day. Do that for a couple weeks until your scalp adjusts. Then, push to 2 days between washes. Then 3. Let your scalp slowly learn to produce less oil because it's not being stripped constantly. For me, I have very dry hair and a dry scalp. Once a week is enough for my hair type. But that doesn't mean I don't shower daily. I do. I just don't wash my hair every day. All right, so they washed once a month. But when they did wash, what did they actually use? No shampoo. That wasn't a thing yet. Instead, they had 2 main options: soap or eggs. Let's start with eggs. This sounds strange, I know, but egg washing was legitimately a thing, a regular treatment for Victorian women. Here's how they did it. They'd take 4 egg whites, froth them together until they were light and airy, and apply it to the hair. Then they'd just let it dry, right there on their head. Once it was dry, they'd rinse it out with a mixture of water, rum, and rose water. Sounds like a pain, right? And honestly, it is. The smell, the texture, the rinsing, not fun. Doing this every single wash? Let's be realistic. That's a lot. But here's the thing. Eggs actually work great as a hair mask sometimes. The protein strengthens, the fats moisturize. As an occasional treatment, worth trying. As your regular shampoo replacement, probably not. Then there was soap. Not the fancy bottled shampoo we know, bars of soap. Victorian soap was made with animal fats and lye, harsh stuff. That was also why they washed so infrequently. Too much of that soap and their hair would turn into straw. And they rinsed with the best water they could get, rainwater or distilled water. Hard water was the enemy. Now, since they weren't washing much, Victorians had other ways to keep hair fresh between washes. First, daily brushing. And I'm not talking about a quick once-over. Victorian women brushed a lot. The famous 100 strokes every night. With a boar bristle brush. The goal? Spread natural oils from the scalp all the way down to the ends. I actually used to brush my hair 100 times every day. Not with a Victorian brush, just a wooden comb. And honestly, it worked. Really effective for oil distribution. But what I didn't expect? The blood flow. That massage from all that brushing wakes up your scalp in a way that feels amazing. Now, I don't do it religiously anymore, but I did switch to a boar bristle brush. Not the Victorian kind. Theirs was much more packed, denser bristles. You want one where the bristles are a little more spaced out. And here's the thing. You'd think that wouldn't work for curly hair. But honestly, it works really well. Especially in between washes, when oils need a little help traveling down. It really helps me go more days between washes and keeps my scalp feeling cleaner for longer. So no, you don't need 100 strokes. But a few minutes with the right brush, your scalp and ends will both thank you. Next, vinegar and herbal rinses. Victorians would do this as a final rinse after washing. 1 mug of diluted vinegar or rosemary water poured over the hair at the very end. Let it sit for a minute. Then maybe rinse with plain water or sometimes leave it. And here's why this actually makes sense scientifically. The natural pH level of hair is between 3.6 and 5.5, which means it's slightly acidic. Vinegar? Also acidic. So when you pour that diluted vinegar over your hair, it helps lower the pH, which keeps the cuticle smooth and flat. Now, I don't do the full rinse after every wash, but I do like to use it as a spray between washes. Diluted vinegar in a spray bottle or rose water straight up. I like to add a few drops of lavender or rosemary essential oil for smell. And it's so diluted that the vinegar smell disappears as it dries. You just get the nice scent. A few spritzes on my scalp when it feels oily, massage it in, let it dry. Refreshes everything without daily stripping. Mix 2 to 4 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar with 16 ounces of water. Or just use rose water straight. Put it in a spray bottle, spray on your scalp between washes. Massage, leave it. That's it. Then there's rose water. It hasn't been studied as much for hair specifically, but it's been used for many years. Rose water is a mild astringent, which means it can help reduce oiliness and dandruff. It also has anti-inflammatory properties, so if your scalp gets irritated, it can help calm things down. So the Victorians had some wins and some, let's call them experiments. Steal the occasional egg mask. Leave the lye soap in the past where it belongs. Hair oiling. I don't know why today we've reduced or even stopped using oil on hair. especially when the environment is so much more harsh for hair than it used to be. Think about it. Pollution, hard water, heat styling, chemical treatments. Our hair goes through things Victorian women couldn't even imagine. And yet, we've moved away from one of the simplest things that protected theirs. Victorians? They loved hair oiling. And honestly, I loved their method. They'd use herb-infused oils on their scalp before washing, which let them get all the herb benefits without the oil sitting there for days. They had so many recipes, it honestly deserves its own separate video. Then for the lengths, simple oil, mostly castor oil, which kind of works like a pre-wash conditioner. They'd massage it in, let it sit, then wash. The Victorians used oil as armor, and honestly, with everything our hair faces today, we need armor more than ever. Protective styling. Here's the thing about growing long hair. Getting length? That's the easy part. Your hair grows. That's what it does. The hard part? Keeping the ends good. You can gain all the length in the world, but if your ends look thin, see-through, and stringy, it ruins the whole look. And eventually, you have no choice but to cut it off and start over. We've all been there. This is where Victorians were genuinely genius. They understood something we forget. The ends of your hair are the oldest part. They've been through everything. And every time they rub against your clothes, get caught in things, or just hang loose, they're taking damage. So Victorians protected them. They didn't wear their hair down often. Those elaborate updos in photos? Not just fashion, function. They kept their ends tucked away, safe. Braids, buns, twists, sometimes covered with caps or scarves during the day. The ends barely saw the light of day. And at night, more protection. They'd braid their hair loosely, sometimes one braid, sometimes two, to prevent tangling and breakage while they slept. Some even used silk ribbons instead of elastics. One source from Godey's Ladies' Book recommended parting the hair down the middle and doing 2 braids at night, specifically to allow ventilation to the scalp while still protecting the lengths. Here's the thing. Half our lives are spent sleeping. If you can't do protective styles during the day, maybe it's not your vibe, maybe you just don't want to, that's fine. But at night, while you sleep, that's 8 hours of free protection. You don't need to live like a Victorian, but stealing their nighttime protection? That one's easy. Techniques over products. Here's what really stood out to me going through all of this. Their entire routine was built on techniques, not products. Think about it. The 100 brush strokes? Technique. Protective styling at night? Technique. Scalp massage? Technique. Herbal rinses? Still technique. The ingredient is secondary to actually doing it consistently. They didn't have a different bottle for every problem. They had habits, daily practices, things they did with their hands, and a few simple tools. And honestly, that's a different approach than how we're often taught today. We're conditioned to think every hair issue needs a new product. Frizz? There's a serum for that. Dry ends? Here's an oil. Thinning? Try this growth spray. And look, products can be great. I use them. But when we rely on products instead of techniques, that's where things get unbalanced. Meanwhile, Victorian women were just brushing, massaging, braiding, covering their hair to protect it. Things that cost nothing. Things they could do anywhere. And then, on top of that foundation, they'd add oils and rinses when needed. So here's what I've learned. Products aren't the problem. They're tools. But the foundation of healthy hair, that's not in your shower caddy. It's in your hands. It's consistency. It's attention. It's showing up every day and doing the small things. Techniques first, Products second. That's what they had. And honestly, that's what a lot of us have lost.